And here comes Alex Wenberg, who has 2 goals in the game. Lets one go, deflected, he scores! It's a heady! Alex Wenberg gets the hat trick. His second of the year, second of his career.
Welcome to Project Panthers, a weekly podcast discussing your Florida Panthers. Now, here's your host, Brunswick.
What a week, what a week, what a week. I am your host, Brunswick. The show is Project Panthers, and what a week it's been. What a season it's been in Panther territory. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you found us on YouTube, Spotify, maybe Apple Podcasts, or any other major podcast platform out there on the World Wide Web by searching Project Panthers. You'll find us on Twitter by searching @ProjPanthers, that's P-R-O-J Panthers, on Instagram by searching Project Panthers Pod, and on Facebook by searching Project Panthers. First things first, I want to apologize to any listeners who had some issues getting last week's episode on Apple Podcasts. For some reason, it failed to upload. I tried to contact Apple Podcasts, but they've yet to return my emails. Apparently, there was some significant outages, and other podcasts had some similar issues, but I just wanted to say sorry if you struggled to find the show. Remember, we're also available on YouTube and Spotify and other podcast platforms, so please feel free to reach out to us via social media. We'll find a link for you to check us out. With that said, that's it. We're done, baby. We're done. It's over, baby. It's over. The regular season, bye-bye, in the rearview mirror. The Panthers finished the season with a record of 37-14-5. Their best winning percentage in franchise history and good for second place in the NHL Central Division. They did it, baby. They did it. They did it. They made it to the playoffs. Not only that, but they got home ice advantage, too. I'm here to tell you how the past week went, but I'm also going to spend the majority of this episode giving you a breakdown of both the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, how each franchise has fared since their inception, and just how we finally got to the point where both teams will finally square off in the Battle of the Sunshine State for the first time in NHL playoff history. I'll also quickly discuss a giveaway that we'll be having here at Project Panthers near the end of the episode. Be sure to pay attention to that and find out how you'll be able to win a Florida Panthers prize pack just by tuning into Project Panthers. But once again, as is tradition, I am getting ahead of myself. Let's see how the final 2 games of the season turned out. Before the penultimate game of the season, we officially found out that the Panthers will indeed be facing the Lightning in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in history. I mean, this is exciting stuff. It seems like the whole league is excited for this. I don't think there's a lot of competition in the first round, so I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on this Panthers-Lightning series. The teams have never been good at the same time. I mean, when the Cats had success in the 90s, Darren Pupa and the Lightning were absolutely atrocious, and the Cats seem to have sucked for basically the last 20 years, whereas Lightning have been one of the better teams, including 2 Stanley Cup championships. I will talk about that later, but it's finally exciting to see these 2 teams face off after so long and never really coming that close to it, to be honest. But going into this one, there was still some home ice advantage to be determined. If the Lightning win one of the last 2 games that they play against the Panthers in regulation, they will clinch home ice advantage. That's all it boils down to. They got to win 1 game. So we'll see. The only change in the lineup from last Monday's game, which was at this point felt like an eternity ago, with the way that this season has gone. Bobrovsky was back in net. There was some chatter that we'd see Verhaeghe and Hornqvist back in the lineup in this one as they were practicing with the team this week, but the coaching staff opted to rest them again in favor of giving Denisenko and Heponiemi a little bit more ice time. Sir Samuel of House Bennett does get back in the lineup for this one, so thankfully he wasn't out much time at all. The game started with some good pace. Get some feisty stuff early on. Keith Yandel surprisingly getting involved a bit in the group tussle behind Bob's net. Not something we've seen from Yandel this year. Maybe a sign of things to come ahead of the playoffs. Who knows? Forsling makes a great back check on Braden Point a few minutes later, and the Cats get out to an early 7-2 shot advantage in this one. With a little under 12 minutes to go in the first period, Alex Wenberg brings the puck in the zone. He sees that he has a lane towards the net, so he winds up and wrists it past Vasilevsky for his 14th goal of the season. This is a new career high in goals for Wenberg. in only a shortened season. I have sang Wenny's praises on this podcast over and over and over again. I'm going to do it a few more times in this show as well. I really wanted him to have a bounce back season with the Panthers. Find some success, find his game again. But he's found his offensive touch with the Cats, and he's obviously put the work in to earn himself a bigger and longer contract this summer. Uyghur and Forsling both got assists on this one. Uyghur's 30th assist of the season. His career high in points before this year was 18. Again, another guy I've praised a ton all year, but since Ekblad has gone down with injury, we've seen what kind of actual number one defenseman Uyghur has the potential to be, and he is one right now. He is one. No question about it. Bolts get a power play late in the period. Bob comes up big with under some sticky circumstances and makes some really nice saves. Wouldn't it be real nice for Bob to channel that 2019 Bob when he almost single-handedly beat the Bolts in the first round? That would be music to my ears if he could just turn into that kind of a player again. That would be freaking enormous for this team at this stage of the season. Period ends with Cats up 1-0. Cats get a power play early in the second. They get in the zone pretty easily with Barkov. He finds Bennett, who stops perfectly in the slot. He takes the pass from Al Capitano and pushes the Panthers up 2-0. This was such a quick bang-bang play that Bennett played so well. I don't think there's anybody on this team that's better at getting open in the slot for a shot. A 2-0 lead is nice to have, but we know that this Tampa team can score. And lately, the issue has been holding on to the leads for the Panthers. Tampa is oh so dangerous, and the Panthers, they can't let up in this game. But guess what? Why did I say that little bit of speech there at the end of that little goal? Well, they let up. They did that. They did just that. They let up. Montour misplays the puck in the neutral zone. That allows Tampa to get in the zone with numbers. They work the puck around. Eventually, Yanni Gourde finds Luke Schenn in front of the net. He rips it past Bobrovsky to cut the lead in half. The Panthers really need to step up defensively and not let the Bolts build off of this. Game has already has a playoff feel to it. So the time to step up is right now. See if you're up to the challenge and up to the task. Halfway through the second, Achari takes a cross check from Andre Palat. He takes it to his back, and he goes hard into the board's face first. Palat only got 2 minutes for this. I think it was a bit dirty, but the league didn't really find any punishment. I didn't think there was going to be much punishment from the Department of Player Safety, especially given their track record lately with the whole Tom Wilson stuff. Palat only saw numbers here. I don't see how this wasn't a dirty play, but it is what it is. Not long after that power play expires, Wenberg tries centering the puck in front of Tampa's net. The puck bounces up high in the air. Chernak tries to get a stick on it, but accidentally bats it into his own net. It looked like he got a piece of it. One replay looked like he didn't get a piece of it. Can't say for sure. Wenberg does get credit, though. Second of the night, 15th of the season. That matches his total of goals scored in the last 3 combined seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, the statistical comparisons of Wenny's season with the Cats this year and his time in Columbus never cease to amaze me. Like, it's just crazy to read the numbers of what he did in Columbus over the last few seasons and what he's done in one season with the Panthers this year. Not long after that, the Cats lose a faceoff in the Tampa zone, but they do a good job of battling for it. Sam Bennett gets to the loose puck. He finds Huberdeau in front, who throws a no-look backhander on net, just squeaks past Vasilevsky for Huberdeau's 20th of the season and a 4-1 Panthers lead. It was a great hustle here by the second line. Bennett continues to be a force in the forecheck. To say the Cats are looking comfortable out there is an understatement. The period ends with the Panthers up 4-1. Third period is where we kind of start to see the wheels fall off in terms of discipline. It really starts to feel like the first round of a playoff series, and we kind of see what this might start to look like. Things started to get heated, really heated. It was fueled by the fourth line. Lomberg, Achari, and Gusev, they were pushing really hard. They wanted a goal. They wanted one really badly. They were grinding out some really great chances. They were moving their feet and playing a really physical game. The bodies were flying, fights were happening, and tempers were flaring. Over 100 minutes in penalties were doled out in the third period alone. This was the second highest total of penalty minutes for a single game all season long. The first being the game between the Rangers and Capitals just last week where Tom Wilson ragdolled Artemi Panarin. So within a couple of weeks, we get 2 of the most physical and penalty-heavy games of the season. Beyond all the physical stuff, though, Vasilevsky made some beautiful saves. in the first half of the third period before giving up a floater off a deflection from Wenberg's shot that just kind of bopped right over Vazzy's shoulder off a deflection and into the net. This was Wenberg's third of the night, second hat trick of the season. Panthers completely dominated the Lightning in this third period, both physically and on the score sheet. They hang on to the 5-1 win and move on to Monday with a chance to clinch home ice advantage with a single point in the standings. Main takeaways from this one, the team came to play. Tampa tried to use their speed on the wings and work their way around the Panthers' defense, but they did a great job of grouping together in the middle of the ice to prevent any action from happening in front of Bob. A couple of times it looked like the Lightning might be doing the old thing where they storm back in a few minutes and tie the game up, but the Panthers held strong in the second and stuck to their game plan, and they were rewarded for it. Forcing once again was a beast in this one, and his two assists were just cherries on top for his game, to be honest. And finally, Wenberg. I mean, come on, another hat trick, 16 goals on the season. I really hope GM Bill Zito re-signs him. He's a great fit as a third-line center, and depending on where Anton Lundell is in his progress into the pro leagues, when he could be the perfect transition guy to help ease him into the league and show him the ropes of what it takes to be a strong defensive player at the NHL level. He's seen so much better. He's been so much better than I think anyone could have hoped for or expected, to be honest. It's been a bit of a renaissance for Wenberg, a renaissance, if you will. I mean, come on, you got to give me that one. That's pretty good, lads. Pretty damn good. Come on, a renaissance. Lord. Oh, goodness. After the big win on Saturday, the Cats set themselves up in a nice spot to secure home ice advantage in the first round. All they needed to do was get a single point, and they clinched second place and the right to play at the BB&T Center to start round one against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The big news before this one is Cardi V. That's right, Carter Verhaeghe is back in the lineup for the Panthers for the first time since April 10th. He slides right back in the top line with Barkov and Duclair. Barclair? Choclair? With Barkov and Duclair as the team hopes he picks up right where he left off before he was hurt. Sir Samuel also will sit this one out. Another rest day for him ahead of what should be a bruising series with the Lightning that Bennett will no doubt be right in the middle of for its entirety. Drieger also back in net for this one, off the injured list and ready to go try and get the Cats some home ice advantage. Jonathan Huberdeau also out for this one with an upper body injury and listed as day-to-day. We found out after this one, it's just some flu-like symptoms, nothing big. It's not really an injury, I guess. They say day-to-day, but one of those day-to-days, day-to-days. You can't see me doing the quotations, but I'm doing the quotations. It's like, it's not day-to-day, it's like day-to-day. You follow? With Huby out, Coach Q electing to go with 7 defensemen, giving Kevin Connauton some ice time before the playoffs. If the Cats make a run, Connauton may be called upon if injuries happen, so giving him some game action in the last game of the season, it's a good move by this coaching staff. Strawman also dressed in this one, giving Montour the night off. Same deal with Strahls. I mean, getting him some ice time in game, maybe the right move before a hopeful run by the Panthers. Returnee Cardi V makes his presence felt almost immediately, but probably not for the reason you're thinking. Less than a minute in, and Verhaeghe heads to the box for 4 minutes after high-sticking Joseph and drawing blood in the process. Panthers do a nice job keeping the Lightning to the outside and limiting their high-danger chances. Few minutes into the double minor, Juho Lammikko draws a penalty, negating the rest of the power play for the Lightning. Best chance with a 4-on-4 went to Alexi Heponiemi, who came in 2-on-1 with Barkov, made a slick little toe drag move, but was robbed by Vasilevsky point blank in front of the net. Sweet hands from Hepo on this one. Just couldn't get the finish. With a little under 5 minutes to go in the first, Uyghur strips the puck off the Lightning at his own blue line, gets it to Lammikko. He charges up ice with Marchment. Marchie loses the puck at the blue line. But the man who started the play is the man who finishes it, as Uyghur picks up the bobbled puck at the Lightning blue line, rips a wrister past Vasilevsky, blocker side for the 1-0 lead. Teams get back to the same antics they got up to on Saturday night. A little bit of scrappiness on both sides to close out the period, but the Cats hold on to the lead 1-0. Second period starts with a little more relaxed pace. Neither team really pressuring too much to start, but the Bolts do get a bit of sustained time in the zone. That leads to Keith Yandel taking a 2-minute holding penalty. But short-handed, the Cats, again, they play a great perimeter game and limit the Lightning to their chances. Cats get it clear, and Vasilevsky comes up to play it. Juho Lammikko pressures him, and I'm pretty sure Vazzy had no idea Lammy was even near him because he looked like a deer in headlights before finally reacting a little too late and allowing Lammikko to get the wraparound goal for the 2-0 Panthers lead. This is where the game gets real feisty. Tampa definitely does not lie down and take it. They get their guard up and really start playing a more physical game. John Cooper clearly gave his boys some instructions to step it up with the body out there and play a physical game and try and intimidate these Cats. But the Cats don't back down. Marchman actually throws a huge hit on Jan Ruda and starts a big old scrum that results in Daniel Westcott dragging Kevin Connaughton out of the pile and instigating a fight that he probably shouldn't have. After Connaughton catches a couple of punches and finds his bearings, he starts laying into Westcott, and actually he dusted him pretty hard here. He actually had to lay up on Westcott because Westcott went down and found himself in a pretty vulnerable position. Connaughton, being the vet that he was, backed off and left it to be. But Westcott got dummied here. Not even close. Definitely bit off more than you can chew, and looks like Westcott kind of bit off a stegosaurus here. It's so great, though. It's so great. Like, I mean, the Panthers stepping up to the aggressive play of the Tampa Bay Lightning and not backing down. This is, for so many years, this team turtled whenever they got challenged physically, but not anymore. I mean, even guys that barely played this season step up when called upon. Connaughton's played 7 games this year, and he's not backing down. I think this really, again, speaks to the locker room and the culture that these guys have created and have allowed to sprout and blossom within it. Kevin Connaughton stepping up and defending his teammates. You love to see it. Cats started the third short-handed, and they kill it off well. And not long after, Cardi V finds himself on a 2-on-1 with Uyghur. He elects to shoot, and he beats Vasilevsky, also blocker side, to give the Cats the 3-0 advantage. This team can smell home ice advantage right now, and they seem to have figured out Vasilevsky as well. They're shooting blocker side with emphasis. Wenberg, Uyghur, and now Verhaeghe have all beaten him high blocker over the last couple of games. If they've got his game figured out, that will be a huge factor going into this series. But then again, Vazzy is a Vezina-caliber goaltender. He can turn it on at any point and baffle you for multiple games in a row. You cannot sleep on a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky. I mean, it's Vazzy. We've seen him steal games all season long. But this game slows down a bit after that goal. Panthers did not let up. Gudas takes a pass from Yandel at the Lightning blue line. He throws a shot on net, and Wenberg just kind of pokes his stick out there just far enough to get a piece of it, deflects it past Vasilevsky. Blocker side, once again, a little bit of recency bias on this one. I'll admit that. Wenberg's 17th of the season, an almost 25-goal pace over 82 games. 4 goals in 2 games against Vasilevsky for Wenny, and a 4-0 lead, all but guarantees the Panthers will be hosting the Lightning for the first 2 games of the playoffs. Drieger shuts the door the rest of the way. The Cats hold on to the 4-0 lead. Judge's 3rd shutout of the season. What a year for him. Panthers finished with 79 points in 56 games, a record of 37-14-5, the best winning percentage in franchise history, and an incredible performance all season long by this group. Home ice advantage and the first round against the Lightning, baby. What more could we have asked for? Main takeaways in this one. I mean, what else can I say this season that I haven't already? Massive, intergalactic, galaxy-sized props to this coaching staff and management group. The guys that Bill Zito brought in to complement the already existing players this team had seemed to almost all be home runs. The coaching staff managing all the movement and giving guys a chance to earn ice time and then rewarding them when they performed well. All praises. This has been a magical group to watch play hockey this season. They've managed to surprise time after time. And just when everyone thought the party was over in March when Ekblad went down, this group somehow found another gear in their engine and stepped up more than ever. We've been blessed as fans this year, finally seeing this team come to fruition after so many years of expectations and heartbreak. For the first time in my life, I can honestly say that the Florida Panthers are contenders and no longer pretenders. They're the real deal, a top 5 team in the NHL that somehow will still get better as time proceeds. But part of getting better is facing challenges. And that first challenge is the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I'm going to forgo the world-famous segment of Project Panthers 2 points because, well, the 2 points have been achieved multiple times this season. The Panthers did it. They're in the playoffs. So bye-bye 2 points for now. For now. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know you're all so worried about 2 points leaving. Don't worry. It'll be back. I promise. Next season, it will be back. But I'm going to forgo that in favor of previewing the first-round matchup for the Florida Panthers against the aforementioned Tampa Bay Lightning that they've been playing for the last couple of games. I mean, this is a series nearly 30 years in the making. For almost 3 decades, these teams have existed together in the NHL, playing professional hockey just 4 hours and change away down the 75. Unfortunately, they've never been successful at the same time. I mean, successful. That's a word I can't honestly use when describing the Florida Panthers as a franchise. 2 playoff berths in their first 4 seasons. They seem destined to build a successful team for years to come under the watch of great hockey minds like Roger Neilson, Bobby Clarke, and Bill Torrey. A cup run in 1996 all but solidified the Panthers as a mainstay in Miami, creating a buzz that of which the hockey world hasn't seen since with their tradition of throwing rats on the ice after every Panthers goal. We all know the story of Mellenby one-timing Rat in the locker room before the Cats' home opener of the 95-96 season. He goes on to score 2 goals that night. Van Beesbrook calls it a rat trick in the postgame, and the rest is history. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've heard that one at least once before, but if you haven't, well, there you go. That's the origin story of that whole thing. The point is that the team, both on and off the ice, seemed poised for success. Fans were selling out the Miami Arena, but at the same time, the Tampa Bay Lightning were struggling immensely. They came into the league a year earlier than the Panthers, and right off the bat, there was some, let's call it, shadiness involved with the Lightning and their ownership group. Rumors swelled of a potential Yakuza, that's the Japanese mafia for all you kids at home, their involvement with the purchase of the team, and Phil Esposito basically in over his head trying to make everything work with an NHL franchise that maybe never should have been to begin with. This mess translated to on-ice performance as well. The Bolts missed the playoffs 9 of their first 10 seasons in the NHL. The only year they made it was 1995-96, and they got spanked by the Flyers in 6 games in a series that really had no business going 6 games. Those same Flyers lost to the Panthers in the next round. The Lightning were bad, though. Really bad. I'm talking god-awful. They were the Atlanta Thrashers before the Atlanta Thrashers even existed. For 3 straight seasons between 1997 and 2000, the Lightning finished with under 20 wins. You heard me correctly. Under 20 wins in a full regular season. These weren't shortened seasons, people. These were full 82-game seasons. For a frame of reference, the NHL's worst team this year, the Columbus Blue Jackets, finished the year with 18 wins on the season. That was in only 56 games due to the shortened season thanks to COVID. Think about that for a second. If you were a fan of the Lightning that year or those years, you'd essentially have had to have watched another 26 games of straight losses to match what they went through that year. If you were a Columbus Blue Jackets fan. They had 17 wins one year and 2 19-win seasons after that for anyone keeping score at home. Just absolutely atrocious. They were the laughingstock of the league, a complete joke. I can't stress how low the entire league thought of the Lightning. They were barely an afterthought. But then everything changed when they hired an NHL coach with only 4 games of NHL head coaching experience in John Tortorella. In under 3 seasons, he had the Bolts back in the playoffs and actually winning a playoff series. In under 4 seasons, the Lightning had won the Stanley Cup. He completely turned the face of the franchise around. It didn't hurt that they had some young studs coming down the pipeline, one of which they inadvertently acquired thanks to the Florida Panthers. The year was 1997, almost 18 months removed from their loss in the Stanley Cup Finals, and now officially in a new building, having left the old Miami Arena behind, the Florida Panthers were struggling out of the gate. On November 14th, The Panthers sat 5-9-4. The late Brian Murray, then general manager of the Florida Panthers and architect of the 1996 Stanley Cup run, was desperate to rekindle any kind of magic with this roster to try and scrape their way back into the playoffs. In a completely baffling move that perplexes me to this day, Murray proceeded to trade the Florida Panthers' first-round draft pick that year along with forward Dave Lowry for then 23-year-old forward Victor Kozlov and a fifth-round pick. I mean, Kozlov was a former sixth overall selection himself in 1993, but he had yet to show any significant abilities at the NHL level and was struggling when the Sharks traded him with only 7 points in 18 games before joining the Panthers that season. Kozlov did fine for the rest of the year. He scored 23 points in 46 games, but the Panthers continued to tailspin for the rest of the year and finished as the second worst team in the NHL. Later that season, the Sharks, who were also struggling but in much better shape to make the playoffs, wanted to acquire some grit before entering the NHL's postseason. Well, they decided to give the Tampa Bay Lightning a call and see what they might have to offer. The Sharks acquired bruising and often dirty defenseman Brian Marchment, yes, that's Mason Marchment's father, David Shaw, and a first-round pick for Andrei Nazarov, and a first-round pick. Yes, the first-round pick that they had acquired earlier that year from the Florida Panthers. Well, as luck would have it, the Panthers won the draft lottery, except they didn't have the pick anymore. The pick was 4 hours down the road with the Tampa Bay Lightning. With the first overall selection in the 1998 draft, the Tampa Bay Lightning selected from the Rimouski Oceanic of the QMJHL, Vincent Lecavalier. I mean, from then on, it's all history, right? The franchises all but swapped positions from their early places in the annals of the NHL. The Bolts also struck big with the third-round pick in that draft. The pride of Murray Harbor, Prince Edward Island, was drafted. Brad Richards selected 64th overall. He went on to win the Conn Smythe as the MVP of the playoffs for the Bolts in 2004 during their cup run. There were some struggles for the Lightning at the end of the 2000s, but other than that, they've routinely been one of the best teams in the league. Sometimes not reaching the potential they might have, but all of that culminated again last year with their second Stanley Cup victory in under 20 years. They've only missed the playoffs in 6 of their last 18 seasons, so success is not an unfamiliar term for this franchise. But unfortunately, we cannot say the same for the Panthers. Since 1998, they've only qualified for the playoffs 5 times. 2 of which were this season and last. And honestly, I barely count last year as a playoff berth, but if the NHL says so, then I guess it is in fact so. Years of mediocrity and turmoil with this franchise. Ownership change after ownership change, threats of relocation, locker room antics with water bottles in hotel lobbies, and fights with fire trucks. If you thought the Bolts' 9 out of 10 seasons without playoffs was bad, the Panthers went a full decade without touching the postseason. The closest they got was 2008-09, when they finished tied with Montreal at 93 points, but they lost out on the final spot because of a tiebreaker rule. That was it, though. They had replaced the Lightning as the laughingstock of the league. Thank goodness for the Atlanta Thrashers back then, because at least they took some of that away from the Panthers, despite absolutely dominating them in one-on-one matchups. But after 2 reigns of Iron Mike Keenan, which felt like hell on earth, and 4 different general managers in the span of 6 seasons, May 2010 came along and brought hope. Dale Talon signed on as general manager of the Florida Panthers. The guy who built the Blackhawks dynasty was how he was sold to us fans. He managed to slap together a team of free agents and wannabes and has-beens, sort of the discount version of what Zito did this year. He got this team to the playoffs for the first time in 11 seasons. Unfortunately, they lost in the first round, but for the first time in a long time, some hope was there. But that hope died quickly. The next 3 seasons came with turnover on the head coach side, along with players regressing on the ice. Talon had some nice pieces coming in from the draft, but they weren't quite ready to make an impact at the NHL level just yet. But in comes Gerard Gallant. He's ready to coach Huberdeau, Barkov, and others to the promised land. Insert Jaromir Jagr. Instant chemistry with Ubi and Barkov. The Cats go on a record-setting winning streak and win the Atlantic Division for the first time in history. But again, they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Cue coaching instability, a cab ride, and 3 more years without playoffs. Finally, Joel Quenneville comes in. The guys look ready to take the next step, but Talon, he's stuck in his old ways. The roster needs a breath of fresh air and life, but Talon makes one last-ditch effort and hands out massive contracts in his final year to try and save his job. We all know how that turned out. But now we're up to speed. GM Bill Zito has taken over the squad and done exactly what needs to be done to make them successful in the way that it should have been many years ago. Finally, the battle of the Sunshine State is upon us. These two cross-strait rivals have had almost near polar opposite histories as NHL franchises, but they're set to square off in the playoffs for the first time in NHL history. The big story going into this series is injuries. Both sides have ailments to key players that may affect them as the series progresses. On the Tampa side, we've already learned that Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos are back on the ice, completely healthy and ready to play in Game 1. What a crazy coincidence that they're both just ready to in time to play in Game 1 of the NHL salary cap-free NHL playoffs. Crazy, right? Really, really interesting how life works out sometimes. But I'm not here to discuss NHL cap circumvention. This is the playoffs. It is what it is. On top of that, apparently the Bolts have been dealing with some injuries to defensemen Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonagh. McDonough's injury is a somewhat new revelation, but apparently Hedman has been dealing with something for quite some time. And it may require some surgery in the offseason, according to reports. I think with the addition of David Savard at the deadline, the Bolts can handle the loss of McDonagh should it happen, but losing Hedman is going to be devastating to them should it happen. They are a completely different team with him on the ice out there. So Hedman needs to stay healthy if the Bolts want to find success. I mean, Kuch and Stamkos coming back basically gives the Bolts a brand new line in their top six. This will make them much more dangerous offensively. The Cats will need to use their speed and try to isolate these two as much as they can. The real fear with these two comes on the power play. The Panthers have killed off 13 straight power plays that they've faced from the Lightning, but that doesn't really mean squat if neither Kucherov or Stamkos were out there for any of them. We've all seen the dangerous one-timer that Stamkos has on his off wing and in the slot. He's probably the best in the game since Brett Hull to get in the slot and get that one-timer off. And Kucherov adds an element of playmaking that propels this power play into the stratosphere. This is where I could see the Lightning winning the series. If they can hang with the Panthers 5-on-5 but dominate with the extra man, then they will win this series. It was how the Cats lost to Carolina all year long. I mean, special teams has been their kryptonite throughout the year. And it could be how they lose to Tampa in round 1. Tampa's penalty kill was ranked 4th in the league this season, so you know they won't be giving up much for the Panthers on their own power play. So the Cats will have to match their effort and hope that their 17th ranked penalty killing can do the job against this high-powered offense. Now, that's not to say that Kucherov and Stamkos won't take a couple of games to adjust to playing again. They might come out of the gate hot, or they might struggle and have trouble getting their legs under them, especially Kucherov, who hasn't seen NHL action in almost a year at this point. If this is the case, the Panthers need to pounce on this and take advantage of them struggling as much as they can. Eventually, they're going to turn it up, and if the Cats can be up 2 games in the series before all that happens, it might be too little too late for the Lightning. Honestly, though, you can't ever count this team out. The Lightning have that championship pedigree, and they know exactly what it takes to win. They will attack your weaknesses and expose them before you even realize you can adjust. They have a unique ability to be outplayed for large portions of the game and still manage to win 5-2. They're an extremely talented hockey team that has earned all the respect that they have. But I do think that the Panthers match up well with them. Injuries on the Cats side are all basically down to Aaron Ekblad. We haven't heard much about his return, but as the date sits, he still sits about at least a month away, if not longer. I mean, I think that's really optimistic, a month away. It's most likely longer. Coach Q confirmed that Bennett, Hornquist, and Huberdeau will all be back in the lineup for the Panthers in Game 1. So, sans Ekblad, the Panthers will be icing a completely healthy lineup. My guess is Heponiemi and Denisenko take the seat in Game 1, but I could see one of them getting a shot over Gusev over the fourth line to provide a little bit more grit and energy back there. The Panthers have proven their regular season series with the Lightning that they can hold their own with the defending Stanley Cup champions. They are not outmatched completely. They won the season series pretty easily with a 5-2-1 record. They out-hit and outshot the Lightning on average all season long. They will need to continue this physical play into the postseason. Tampa Bay is much like Carolina, a big team, but not that tough. The Panthers are a tough team. That's right, I just said it. The Panthers are a tough team. They have some real bruisers on their roster, and they're not afraid to mix it up. Gudas, Hornquist, Marchment, Achari, Uyghur, Montour, and Vetrano, they all like to mix it up and play that grindy, annoying, physical style of hockey that often breeds success in the playoffs. If they can do that and be effective on the forecheck, they can really do a lot to disrupt Tampa's game plan and get them off their game. But Tampa can score, and they can score in bunches. But to achieve that, they take some risks. The Panthers' most successful weapon in their season series with the Lightning has been their speed and transition game. I don't know how many odd man rushes or breakaways I saw from the Panthers against Tampa Bay this season, but it was a lot. A lot. Kucherov and Stamkos do not help with this facet of the game for the Lightning, so the Cats need to continue to expose this glaring weakness that the Bolts have. They need to be quick on their transition and move guys up immediately to get around their big defensemen. The Panthers are a very fast team, maybe the fastest in the NHL. Every team that plays them uses the same adjective, fast, more than any other term to describe this group. That speed will be their best weapon in this series. Their forwards are a lot faster than Tampa's defensemen, and that needs to be evident from minute 1 of game 1. Hedman is a big dude who can skate, but the rest of the group back there, they're not the fleetest of foot, and the Cats can use guys like Vetrano, Duclair, and Verhaeghe to push the offense and get a plethora of chances. But there to stop those chances will be Vezina winner Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, you could come close to saying that the Panthers might even have Vasilevsky's number this season. The Panthers are the only team he's had a losing record against in his division. His season versus the Cats, he finished with a record of 2-4-0, an .898 save percentage, and a goals against average of .336. These numbers are far bloated from his season averages of 2.21 goals against per game and a .925 save percentage. But honestly, even watching these games against the Panthers, Vasilevskiy has been a wall. Even giving up 9 goals in the last 2 games he faced them, Vasilevskiy still looked like an all-star. He was far and away the Bolts MVP this season. And if it weren't for him, I genuinely think the Cats could have run the score up to 8 or 9 goals in each of the last 2 games. Funny though, the Panthers do appear to have something on him. In Vasilevskiy's last 73 games played, he's only given up 4 goals in the first period 3 times. All 3 of those times were against the Florida Panthers. They seem to aim blocker side, and I don't know if this is a coincidence, but it's something I mentioned before and something I've noticed over the last couple of games, and they seem to be finding success with it. Vasilevskiy is a wizard with the glove and his pads, but it seems that blocker side may be the one weakness that Cats will try to expose. On the other side, I mean, we have what many expected, a goaltending debate as we approach game 1 of the playoffs for the Panthers. The big belief among most of us is that Sergei Bobrovsky will get the start in game 1. A sort of your role until you do something to lose it type situation is my guess, as Coach Q has not shied away from putting Drieger in after a poor performance from Bob. Granted, he played less than 3 games, but against the 3 games less than Bob against the Lightning, but Drieger's numbers are much better than Bob's against Tampa Bay. I mean, his entire season has been better than Bob's, so I think there's a high chance that at some point in this season we will see number 60 out there again to face the Lightning. I think whoever does come out in this series is going to be severely banged up, though. It's going to be a grind between these 2 teams, and whoever moves on to face the winner of Carolina versus Nashville, my prediction is Nashville. Shh. That's not just because I despise the Canes, but also because I think Carolina is really soft and Nashville is playing really strong, gritty hockey and defensive hockey right now. I think they're the team. They're the type of team that eats teams like Carolina up, and I think that their Canes don't stand a chance. But we'll see. I think both teams want to be the first to win the Battle of the Sunshine State, so it's going to be an all-out war out there. And the last 2 games show us that no love has been lost at all. Tampa and Florida will both need their superstars to show up, though. If Barkov and Hubie aren't Barkov and Hubieing, and if Kucherov and Stamkos aren't Kucherov and Stamkosing, then their respective teams will struggle to find success. A lot of playoff series are won on the backs of the bottom 6, the guys who will grind it out for you and wear the other team down. But if your top guys aren't playing like your top guys when you need them the most, you will struggle to find any success in your pursuit of Lord Stanley's Cup. I've said that all season long, and nothing has happened in this sport to change that. But that's going to do it for me, friends. Buckle up as we finally get to feast our eyes upon the Battle of the Sunshine State. 2 teams destined to eventually meet in the playoffs finally will. One is atop the mountain looking to stay on top and fight off any challengers that may come to take the crown. The other, a newcomer, trying to make a name for itself amongst the fray. Seriously, though, whatever happens, enjoy this, Panthers fans. I know I am. It finally feels like this franchise is turning a corner instead of swerving out of the lane for a second. Enjoy it. Savor it. It's been a long time coming. For the show during the playoffs, I'm going to try and do one after every game. But that might be tight to do for me, but I'm going to do my best to provide some input after each game, whether it be through the show or on Twitter or on Instagram. Also, I will be dropping details of our very exciting Project Panthers giveaway, where you'll get a chance to win a Florida Panthers prize pack full of a few things to satisfy the Panthers fan in you. So make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of Project Panthers for all the details on that and just how you can win. I'll likely be doing some sort of secret word type giveaway or something, so please keep your ears and eyes peeled for information on that. Remember to follow us on Twitter at projpanthers, that's PROJ Panthers. Find us on Instagram at projectpantherspod and on Facebook by searching Project Panthers. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and hopefully Apple Podcasts this week. I am Brunswick. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's hope when you hear my voice next, we are celebrating at least a little something together, right? Go Cats go, and have a week.